This is Andrew P. Dorr and welcome to my channel.
On today's video we are going to look at some of the most beautiful tiaras worn by the royal families of the Northern Europe royal courts. A tiara is a Latin word that means a jeweled head ornament. The word appears in both ancient Greek and Latin to describe the crown worn by both noble men and women. Today, tiaras are mostly worn by women and are associated with beauty pageants. In the late 18th century, the tiara came into fashion in Europe as a prestigious piece of jewelry to be worn by women on formal occasions. Tiaras were extremely popular during the late 19th century and were worn at events where the dress code was a white tie. After World War I, wearing a tiara gradually fell out of fashion, except for official occasions at a royal court. Currently, the interest in wearing tiaras has increased again since the beginning of the 21st century. And the word tiara is often used interchangeably with the word diadem. And throughout the 20th century, the wearing of tiaras has fluctuated in line with changes in prosperity and fashion. In the past 20 years, there has been a renewed appreciation for this type of jewel, fueled by various high-profile exhibitions and celebrity weddings. Tenth on our list is the Princess Mary wedding tiara. This tiara made its royal debut on May 14, 2004, at the wedding of Crown Prince Frederick and Miss Mary Donaldson. The tiara was a gift to Mary from Queen Margrethe and Prince Henrik, and is thought to have been purchased at auction for her. In its original format, it's a rather tiny, all-diamond affair. Unlike the floral tiara that Princess Mary wears, this was a gift, not a loan, which means that the tiara is Mary's personal property. No information on the piece's provenance has been released, so unfortunately we don't know how Queen Margrethe and Prince Henrik acquired it, and we also don't know when, or by whom, it was made. Princess Margaret of Connaught had a number of tiaras at her disposal during her tenure as Crown Princess of Sweden, but none of the others are quite as romantic and sentimental as today's piece, the tiara given to her as a wedding gift by the Khedive of Egypt. The Khedive tiara's story begins even before the piece's creation. Princess Margaret, the niece of King Edward VII of the United Kingdom, was on a royal tour with her parents, who wanted to marry their daughters off to suitable royal spouses. They had their eye on the future King of Sweden, Gustav Adolf VI, as a prospective partner for Margaret's sister, Princess Patricia. They rendezvoused with Gustav Adolf in Cairo, where he immediately fell in love, but with the wrong sister. It didn't matter, in the end Margaret was in love with him too. Gustav Adolf proposed to her during a dinner at the British consulate in Cairo, and the two were married at Windsor in 1905. Because their love story was so tied to Cairo, it was important that the Khedive of Egypt, the governor of the country, which was ruled by the British at the time, give them a suitable wedding present. He commissioned Cartier to make this tiara for the occasion. The piece, which has alternately been described as a scroll tiara and as a tiara featuring marguerite motifs, bears considerable similarity to another piece made for the Egyptians at roughly the same time, which was the Princess Shvakar's tiara. Unfortunately, Margaret had little time to experiment with her tiara collection. When she died in 1920, this tiara was one of the jewels that was inherited by her only daughter, Princess Ingrid. She brought the tiara with her to Denmark when she married Crown Prince Frederick, later Frederick IX, in 1935. Ingrid didn't wear this piece on her wedding day, but it was through her influence that it has become the official wedding tiara for all of her female descendants in the years since. While the Danish royal jewel collection includes a number of antique heirloom tiaras, the women of the family also have a few contemporary diadems at their disposal. This modern sparkler, the Midnight Tiara, is worn exclusively by the nation's future queen. Crown Princess Mary wears 4 tiaras. Of the four, the Midnight is the only one that she doesn't personally own. It was created in 2009 by Charlotte Lingard and craftsmen and women of the Ole Lingard workshop. The piece features diamond and moonstone berries nestled among leaves of rose gold, white gold, and oxidized silver. It was originally displayed alongside historic Danish royal diadems as a part of a tiara exhibition at the Amalienborg Palace Museum. The tiara, which also has a coordinating brooch and pair of earrings, was designed with the Crown Princess's Australian heritage in mind. The leaves and berries are said to have been made to resemble the golden wattle, a symbol of the nation. But although she is the only person who wears the tiara, Mary doesn't actually own the piece. Rather than purchasing the tiara, which is valued at nearly $300,000, a deal was made that gives Mary the exclusive right to wear the tiara, while the Ole Lingard Company is the actual owner. Queen Margrethe II of Denmark is one of the most interesting and artistic monarchs in Europe, and her jewellery is often as intriguing and modern as she is. Today we're focusing on one of the newer additions to Margaret's royal jewel box, the set of jewellery given to her by the people of Greenland to mark her ruby jubilee. The naasut tiara and earrings, which make up a tidy little demi-parure, are modern pieces of jewellery that are especially suited to this innovative queen. Made of bright yellow gold, the tiara is designed with several modern floral motifs. The gold that the tiara and earrings are made of actually comes from melted down coins, all of which were originally made with gold mined from Greenland. Appropriately, the demi-parure was Greenland's gift to the Queen on the occasion of the 40th anniversary of her reign. The set was designed by Nikolai Appel, a Greenlandic goldsmith, and was presented to Margrethe in June of 2012 by a member of Greenland's parliament. While gold is the overwhelming element in the tiara's construction, there are also diamonds and rubies scattered amid the flowers that make up the piece. The name of the tiara, naasut, translates roughly to flowers from Greenland. The Danish royal family has one of the biggest and widest-ranging tiara collections in Europe. Today, we're looking at one of the older and more traditional tiaras in the bunch. The Baden palmette tiara, an heirloom with a long history, is a petite diadem that still packs a big sparkly punch. The tiara is originally a German piece, made in the mid-19th century, probably by Koch. It was reportedly a wedding gift from King Wilhelm of Prussia, who later became the first German Kaiser, to his daughter, Princess Louise, who married Grand Duke Frederick of Baden in 1856. Frederick and Louise's daughter, Victoria, married King Gustav V of Sweden in 1881. She brought the tiara with her to Stockholm, along with another rather familiar diadem, the Baden fringe, which is generally worn today by Crown Princess Victoria of Sweden. When Victoria died in 1930, her granddaughter, Princess Ingrid, inherited the tiara, and when Ingrid married Frederick IX of Denmark 5 years later, she brought the tiara with her to her new country. Queen Margrethe of Denmark once remarked that royal families measure their jewels by centuries rather than by carats. This is particularly true for one of the most magnificent tiaras in the Danish royal collection, the tiara from the country's emerald parure. The tiara dates from 1840, when King Christian VIII commissioned an anniversary present for his wife, Queen Caroline Amalia. CM Weishaupt created the parure, including the tiara, using emeralds that had already been in the family for a century. The tiara is today a part of the Danish crown jewels, a distinction that means several things. For one, you can visit the tiara and see it in person, because it is on display at Rosenborg Castle when it's not in use. Another is that Queen Margrethe never takes the tiara out of Denmark. The crown jewels do not leave the country. You usually see her wear the tiara at major in-country events, like the New Year's courts, royal weddings, or birthday celebrations. And finally, only queens, and queens consort, wear the tiara. In fact, it is so historically significant that every Danish queen since Caroline Amalia has worn the piece. Plenty of centuries and carats to measure in this sparkler, indeed. Fourth on our list is the pearl poiré tiara. The tiara, which is made of diamonds set with 18 pear-shaped, or poiré, pendant pearls, is thought to have been made in the first half of the 19th century. In his book on Denmark's royal jewels, Bjørnstine Jensen notes that the tiara was a wedding gift in 1825 to Princess Louise of Prussia on her marriage to Prince Frederick of the Netherlands. Louise was the daughter of King Friedrich Wilhelm III of Prussia, which has led many to presume that the tiara was made in present-day Germany, most likely in Berlin. The tiara was accompanied by a diamond brooch with 5 pearl pendants. Princess Louise died in December and she left the pearl poiré tiara to her daughter, then Queen Louise of Sweden and Norway. But a bit of very bad timing intervened. Queen Louise made her way back to Stockholm, but not long after she returned, she caught pneumonia. Before the contents of her mother's estate could be distributed, Queen Louise died too. She never got to wear the pearl tiara. Appropriately, the tiara was subsequently given to Queen Louise's only daughter, Princess Lovisa. Even though Lovisa was the only living child of King Charles V, the constitution in Sweden at the time prevented her from inheriting her father's throne. Instead, she had agreed in 1869 to a marriage with Crown Prince Frederick of Denmark. The tiara traveled with Crown Princess Lovisa to Copenhagen, and it has been in the Danish hands ever since. Third on our list is the Greek emerald parure. The emeralds came to Greece with Queen Olga, who was born Grand Duchess Olga Konstantinovna of Russia. She was the daughter of Grand Duke Konstantin Nikolaevich, the second son of Tsar Nicholas I and the younger brother of Tsar Alexander II. As you'd expect, a Romanov Grand Duchess marrying a foreign king brought a significant trousseau with her. Among the items that Olga took with her to Greece were a cachet of cabochon emeralds, some round, some shaped like drops. In Olga's will, the emeralds were designated to be left to her eldest son, King Constantine I. But it was George's second wife, Queen Elizabeth, who first ordered Olga's round cabochon emeralds to be set in a tiara. The first versions were various bandeau formations, worn low across her forehead. The second was the Kokoshnik-style tiara. After Queen Elizabeth, it was passed on to Queen Friederike, the Queen Consort of Greece. In 1967, during the state visit in Germany, Queen Friederike wore the emeralds as a necklace with the emerald brooch. In March 1964, King Paul died. Only a few months later, Friederike handed over the Greek emeralds to her new daughter-in-law, Princess Anne-Marie of Denmark. 18-year-old Anne-Marie became Queen of the Hellenes when she married Paul, Friederike's only son, King Constantine II, in September 1964. But Constantine and Anne-Marie's reign in Greece was brief. They fled the country after a coup in 1967, and the monarchy was officially abolished in 1974. Unlike many royals in exile, the family managed to bring their jewelry collection, including the magnificent emerald parure, with them when they fled. Currently, King Constantine and Queen Anne-Marie is living in London and Denmark due to her ties with the Queen. When Denmark's crown princess attends glittering events like royal weddings, state banquets, or the annual New Year's courts, she often wears a distinctive tiara of rubies and diamonds. The tiara isn't only beautiful, it has an amazing backstory that travels back 2 centuries to France and the extravagant imperial coronation of Napoleon Bonaparte. When Napoleon handed Bernadotte money to purchase a new suite of jewelry for Désiré, Bernadotte ordered a lovely set of diamond and ruby jewels from a jeweler in Paris. The suite included a necklace, girandole earrings, and a large corsage brooch, as well as 2 hair ornaments in the shape of branches, with pave-set diamond leaves and ruby berries. As she walked in the coronation procession at Notre Dame on December 2, 1804, Désiré's new ruby parure would have glittered brightly as she followed Empress Josephine, carrying the new empress's veil and handkerchief on a pillow. Désiré was happy living in Paris among her family and friends at the imperial court, but in 1810, she was suddenly forced to take on a new position. Bernadotte was elected Crown Prince of Sweden, and Désiré had to pack up her life, including her rubies, and travel to Stockholm. From then on forward, the parure was in the hands of the Scandinavian queens, and eventually to Denmark when Princess Lovisa of Sweden married Crown Prince Frederick of Denmark in 1869. Crown Princess Mary had the tiara altered slightly in 2010 so that it better fit the shape of her own head. 2 centuries after the jewels sparkled down the aisle of Notre Dame at an imperial coronation, Mary still wears them regularly today. First on our list is the Danish floral aigrette. It's a little hard to classify this piece of jewelry, because it's so many things at once. A tiara, a set of hair ornaments, or a corsage ornament. The complicated, all-diamond tiara apparently dates to the middle of the 19th century. It's said that it perhaps once belonged to Grand Duchess Anastasia Mikhailovna of Russia, whose elder daughter, Alexandrine, was the queen consort of King Christian X.
The first time it was used, my mother wore it for my wedding. It can be mounted on a frame to be able to make a tiara. It is also possible to mount it in 3 different parts. You can fix this sort of jewelry in many ways, which I enjoy. I like wearing it slightly differently from time to time, and I think my hairdresser enjoys doing it up like that too.
Kære mor, en smuk dronning, en gæv pige.
Margrethe inherited the piece from her mother in 2000, and since then, she's continued to wear it frequently, often pairing it with an important diamond necklace from the Danish crown jewel collection.
For special occasions, when you put on your best jewelry as well. If it's a wedding which is held in the afternoon and it finishes with an evening, then tiaras will be worn, even though it's bright daylight. There is more sentiment attached to quite a lot of jewelry than people might think. Certainly, jewelry which has been passed through families, even though they can perfectly well survive in a bank box or in a museum, there is something special about jewelry which is actually worn, because they were made to be worn.